Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to give folks a few minutes to sign on here. But hello, I'm Jenny Mobius. I'm the SVP at Skedda. And we also have Patrick here, our customer onboarding manager.
Hey, how's it going, folks? I'm joining you from Vienna in Austria, Central Europe.
Awesome. I'm joining you from Boston. If y'all want to put in the chat where you're joining us from, that's always kind of fun to watch while we wait for people to come in. Nice. Montreal, Raleigh, London, Munich, Columbus, Ohio, Annapolis, New York. I just love how global this organization is. Just fantastic. Canada. I can't even keep up with this. I mean, you all just have to read it. It's awesome.
Someone from Ireland. Love to see it.
There it is. Very cool. On the bus in Seattle. All right. Okay, we're about a minute over, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. All right, welcome customers, prospective customers, and partners to our second edition of Patrick's Product Picks, where we take deep dives into specific functionality of the Skedda space management platform. If you recall, in our first session, Book Any Space in the Modern Workplace, we discovered how Skedda's space attributes feature makes it easy for anyone to quickly locate and book the right space with all of the necessary resources to get their best work done. Think desks, equipment, monitors, even robots. It was a fun session. If you all want to check that one out, it's skedda.com/events. But today, we have a totally different topic. Patrick's going to demonstrate Skedda's powerful rules and roles engine to ensure you can operationalize your modern work policies and manage your bookable spaces to the fullest. Quick reminders, we have a Q&A button there on the right of your screen. So if you have any questions, please pop them in there. We also have a chat. Feel free to communicate in the chat. It's fun when we have both things going at the same time. We'll have 3 polls intermittently that you can answer. And that's all the housekeeping I have for now. So before Patrick jumps into the product, I know that's what you're all here for, I wanted to set the stage with how we're seeing the market shift, because I think that's also important to this session. So the term hybrid work is becoming somewhat antiquated, believe it or not. It kind of reminds us of a time where we were scrambling to figure out work right after the pandemic, before we had the right data, the right policies, and even the right leaders to guide us to getting these flexible work models right. Today, successful organizations and managers lead with data, intentionality, technology, training, communication, the works to get great modern work experiences right. So what's modern work? So we're seeing a shift from people coming into the office 2 to 3 days a week to having multiple populations of employees, some coming in for a few days a week and some coming in 5 days a week. We've also had more time to analyze flexible work, and we're seeing so much more data coming in to inform our decisions. Market data, utilization data, and technology are just much more robust. And so we don't think hybrid work truly defines where we are today. We're in a much better position to meet the needs of our modern workforce. So here's some of the data I'm talking about. It's truly important to have a well-communicated return to office, or what we call RTO, policy. And that's one that's best fit for your business. No one size fits all. I can speak today, I promise. And RTO can mean anything from 2 days to 5 days in the office. It doesn't necessarily mean all 5 days. A best practice here is to give your teams a voice in this matter. Gallup found 46% of employees say they're more engaged when their work team decides on the flexible work policy together. Team-driven flexible work models not only improve employee engagement, the increased satisfaction it brings also cuts attrition risk in half. Again, we have so much more data today to use to build our policies. So when you listen to your teams, you avoid the negative business impacts of strict RTO mandates. I'm not talking about RTO. Everybody has RTO. I'm talking about these strict top-down mandates. So not listening to teams could lead to lower engagement, which leads to increased turnover. What's more, the University of Pittsburgh found that a 5-day RTO mandate can even lower stock returns. Bringing people along for the journey is nothing new here. So remembering those basics of getting buy-in before a decision is made is really important. So when you come up with a policy that serves your company's unique needs, the benefits of some in-person time work are many. CBRE found 60% of people go into the office for connection. No surprises there. BCG found that in-person work is most effective for interaction, affiliation, development. Again, no surprises here. And there's just so much more data out there to help inform your decision today. You can find that in our 2025 State of the Modern Workplace report, and it's linked in the Resources Hub. Tons more data, a lot for you to digest. So, how can we operationalize these awesome policies that are going to increase engagement and hopefully economic return? Here's a quick peek on our custom rules and roles, where you can establish specific restrictions, create neighborhoods, configure your booking windows, and our beloved onboarding manager, Patrick, is here to tell you how. From hot desks to assigned seating to meeting rooms and parking spots, you can customize your Skedda instance with sophisticated rules and roles to fit your company's policies and unique needs. Take it away, Patrick. Thanks, everybody.
Lovely. Thanks very much, Jenny. As ever, I will share a beautiful Skedda venue map. It's great to see so many familiar names in the chat here, but also people that I'm unfamiliar with. Today, I'm going to run through essentially how to set up different space types to get the most out of allowing your users to book them. I think an important thing to bear in mind as I go through this is while we talk about best practices are going to be different depending on what your requirements are. No two offices are the same. And as Jenny kind of laid out there, we've seen an evolvement and a shift in how we're organizing the workplace. So I'm going to demonstrate a couple of different ways for each of these spaces that we've seen work really well. Some organizations have changed in the past couple of years. They've used one way and shifted, and I'll show different rules for that. And I'm going to focus on desks, meeting rooms, and car parks as the actual bookable spaces as the examples. But our rule set is customizable to basically any resource or space type. So if, as I'm going through this, you're unsure if you have a resource or space would work, feel free to pop it in the chat. I'm happy to kind of answer that directly or like immediately in the chat live here. So with that said, I'll begin with desks. So we have a map here. Many of you might be familiar with how Skedda looks. Here's a map, and on the side we have a legend here with different types of areas denoted. These aren't teams, so to speak. In actual fact, it's different types of areas. So immerse being yellow is a place where you would go for quiet work. Collaborate are meeting rooms. Blue being engaged, this is where maybe your sales, your marketing team are out there making calls. So it's a louder environment. And then pink areas here are more social areas, kind of communal areas that aren't necessarily bookable. You could have something very similar to this in a map that looks like this. And instead of those denoted areas, you would actually just have specific teams like marketing, IT, sales, finance. So I'll come back to this in a moment. But to begin, to book a desk can be as flexible as you want it. So if I come in and I want to book one of these desks down here, I can have a fully flexible booking form here where I can select both the start and the end time and just go ahead and click confirm booking. What you may want to do though, instead of this, is to have a more rigid set of time. So if I click on this desk instead, it will automatically pop up as a full day booking from 9 to 5. Now, the why you would want to do this is important. If you're not ultimately ultra sensitive about reporting or data, if you're only curious to know what days are people coming in, and we want to make the system as simple for users to use as possible, a full day booking solution is very clean way to do this. So this is, I would just come down and click confirm booking immediately. It will automatically be from 9 to 5. So 3 clicks and I'm booked. So that's a very simple and straightforward way. However, if you were more inclined to want to know the exact half an hour or hour increments that people are booking for reporting purposes or for leasing requirements, then a fully flexible option like this would work better for you. So your users could come in, and if they're only going to be using this desk from 10 until 2 p.m., they can define this, and then they can click confirm booking. So that's kind of the crux on that. And the way our system works, and even for older users who have a full day booking rule in place, we've updated this feature recently. So it can actually be checked or unchecked directly. So as I open this full day booking rule, if I unclick this, I can actually edit this now. So by default, it will be full day, but you can give your users the option to change this if they want. Or alternatively, you can set it up so that they can go in and it's fully flexible. And just by ticking this, they can actually change it to full day booking. I'm going to keep a true line on this particular point and jump into an admin portal. So it's the same venue, but I'm now the admin. And the way that you create these rules are in your hours of availability. So this is fully flexible. You can have all of your spaces set to the classic 9 to 5, or alternatively, you can create multiple different sections where different spaces would have different times. And at the bottom here, you have these all day defaults. Because 9 to 5 is the default we have for these spaces, we can decide if they're checked by default or unchecked by default. And just to demonstrate again what I mean, if I come in to book this space, it's unchecked by default. Whereas if I go in to check to book this, it's checked. So it's full day and it's 3 clicks and you're booked. There is also a further possibility where it's an all day booking and you can't edit it or change it. If you actually really want to strictly enforce it, that's also possible. So usually the differentiator here is kind of based around simplicity of use for the user. Do you want it to just be 3 clicks and you're booked? Or are you very sensitive about your data on those particular spaces? And it's possible to have completely different rules for different groups of areas. As you can see, I have a set of rules set up for these desks. I've set it up differently for these, and for the rest, I can have it for full day booking. Okay, so that's about the increment of time that you can book a desk. Who can see what and where they can book is controlled differently. So if I jump down to the car park here in Galway, for example, the Dublin car park actually, I can see all of these are available to book. I can't see any of these EV desks or guests. So these can be hidden completely from a user if you want. If you don't want a specific set of users to interact with spaces or see who they are booked by, you can hide them completely from your end user. And let me give you another more comprehensive example of that. This is another user logged into that same venue. And if they come down, they're based in the Dublin office. And for anyone who's not aware of Irish geography, Dublin and Galway, they're different cities. You may be based in the Dublin office. You may also have a Galway location that you have on the same venue, but you don't want somebody who's in the Dublin office to see any of the spaces on the Galway office or see who's booked. So if I come into the Galway office, none of those green dots exist. So another user can see them. I, however, cannot. So I'm never going to be able to come in here and interact with any of these spaces. There's reasons for allowing someone to book in one area and not another. So, for example, you may want, for privacy or any other reason, not allow people to book in here and only be added in here if they're going to visit or are given permission by somebody. You may want to have both or 3 or 4 different locations all in the same venue for reporting purposes. And then you can just use the rule set to essentially hide who can see what. You do that in the spaces and attribute setting. So if you go into any specific setting, you can come in here and the visibility rule will allow you to decide who can see the space. And then if you decide all can see it, or if you decide only specific users, you would then set a tag use. Now, tags are basically behind all of this. Tags are what control access and restrict the ability for people to book things. If I go into the user list here, and I have the full list of my users, we'll see that nearly everybody has tags because I'm using tags to restrict or allow access into spaces. It's very straightforward to add a space to a user, I can just, once they're added, I can just come in and edit and then just add a tag if I wanted to give them another tag, and then it would just be completed. You can also manage your tags here, and you can add more. Type it in here, and then you'll add it to your list. So the tags are basically what control all access. The minute you want to have rules, you want to have tags. And that is what is controlling this situation where this user can see Dublin, but cannot see anything in Galway. Another way to do this, if you actually do want to give people access to be able to see spaces. So if as this user, I'm based in Dublin, but I can also visit Galway. If I look in Galway, some of these desks are green and some of them are grayed out. They're not available for me to book. So you can actually control it by a department area. So I'm not allowed to book in the finance area or the marketing area because I'm a part of the sales team, for example. Now you can have this as a black and white rule where Monday to Friday, it's not possible to book in any of these spaces. Alternatively, you can set specific days. So if I look on a Wednesday, for example, suddenly I am able to book in the marketing teams area because they have set days. They come in on a Tuesday, on a Monday, and a Thursday. But if I look at other days, I can actually, other teams are allowed to book in here. And where this rule is controlled, if I come into the settings again as an admin, and I come down to conditions, this is where I can determine. So this rule, for example, this one that we were looking at, is for these Galway spaces. So if I come down to them, I can determine which spaces these are and which team, what tag is allowed to book there. So this is for all times. And then this second rule was for the marketing team, where actually it was only for Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So depending how strict you want to be with an area, whether you never want it to be bookable by someone outside that team, or if it should actually be possible on specific days, in your booking conditions, it's totally flexible. You can do this on a space by space basis, and you can add as many tags as you want to allow people to book on specific days or not. Okay, if as an end user, I want to book too far into the future, you can also restrict this. So some venues don't want people to be able to book too far into the future. So if I come in and I want to book in Galway over a month from now, I'm actually going to receive an error message when I attempt to make this booking because I'm not allowed to book more than a certain amount of days in advance. This is another way to give priority or preference to a department area. So you could give the marketing team, 2 or 3 weeks to book these spaces, and everybody else only the possibility on a rolling basis the next 3 days. That way they have priority, but if within 2 or 3 days they're not booked, somebody else can book them. And then just generally for every other space, you can have a rule where you're not allowed to book more than 30 days in advance. The idea being, if people book that far into the future, maybe they're not actually going to come in on that day. You want to restrict it to a shorter period of time. Again, fully customizable based on the space. You can exclude meeting rooms from this so that perhaps people have standing meetings in meeting rooms for the next 6 months. So it makes sense for them to be able to book as far into the future as they want. But for desks, you can restrict it 2 weeks, 30 days, whatever feels comfortable for you, depending on how much utilization you're getting for your space. Okay, as this user, when I come in to make a booking, I am going to get a message at the bottom that's going to tell me that there's a mandatory check-in 1 hour beforehand. So what this means is I book ahead of time, and then in a number of places, I'm going to get a notification to let me know that I have, on the day, I have a booking that I need to check into. So it will come in, and I will receive a check-in email that will look like this. And I can simply click on this bar, and it will bring me, it will check me in. So that's one way that I'm able to check in directly to the system. It will also appear here on the app where I can just click and check in. Alternatively, if you use Microsoft Teams, we integrate directly with Microsoft Teams. So you can set up Skedda there. So once your users have logged in for the very first time, they'll be able to use Teams forevermore. And in the actual chat of that app, you will receive a check-in notification here as well. So that is another way just to kind of make sure people are coming in. But I'll return to check in, how to set that up. And the last thing on desks, we have a newer feature that's come out called assigned spaces. So if I look at these bookings that are in here, for example, Ross has a booking in here from 9 to 5 today. If I look at these two, there's this key beside on these bookings. So this is an assigned space. So what this means is you may have people who are actually at a desk all the time. They're not necessarily going to need to come in and make bookings. So you can sit them there, and then your team is able to come in and they can visibly see where these people are, what desk they're at. It's also possible to see them in the list view if they come in and they search over a period of time where those people are, what desks they're sitting at. In addition to being used for people who are sitting there, you can also use them as points of interest. So for example, here's a printer station. If you want to actually give people more information about what's here, there's an assigned space. And if I click on this, you can put a photograph in here, which shows what that looks like, as well as any additional information in here that you want. Now, this isn't a bookable space, but it is a way for your users to get information about anything you think is relevant. Another area we've seen this happen is, so we have this paw, and if you click on this, there's a specific area for pets, and you can again say what's here. So it's another way for your users to be able to see what's available in the office, but it isn't necessarily a bookable resource like a desk or a meeting room. Okay, I'll quickly show you how to add users doing that as well. Once you've set up, once you have assigned spaces on your account, any space that's set up as a bookable space can be quickly changed to an assigned space by going into your spaces and attributes and changing it from a bookable space to an assigned space. There is a security where you have to put in this information because it's going to delete any bookings with this as a normal bookable space. So you should export those bookings if you want to have them for your records before doing this. Once you've done this though and you've changed the category, you can then quickly and easily assign it to whoever you want. So I could just assign this to this user, and then they have this desk associated with them. And if I look on the map, I can see here it will be assigned with this user. And this is easily and quickly done. So once you've set up Skedda, if you want to add a user and add them to a space, you can do it in one flow. So if I go to this particular desk and, for example, let's say I'm going to change this to, I can create a new user, and actually directly within the space settings, I can add the email, the name of the user, and click add user, and it will then automatically and instantly assign the space to that user. So when you're adding new users who should have assigned spaces, you don't need to go through a duplicate flow where you first add them to the system and then assign them. You can actually do it all through the space settings here. Okay. I'm going to move on now to meeting rooms, where we had the rule around full day bookings for meeting rooms. We typically don't see this sort of behavior with meeting rooms. These we want to leave flexible. So we want users to be able to put in different types of increments here, to be able to move through the day and then click on a specific space. Again, you can put a photograph showing what the space looks like, what's located in here, and then select the time they want to come in and book. With your meeting rooms, you can also sync these to your calendar. So this operates in one of two ways, either a one-way sync, meaning when you make a booking in Skedda, it will appear in your calendar, and anybody you add. So if I start to search for people on the system in here, other people who are on my tenant, it will search the other users. I can add them directly. And when I click to confirm the booking, I can also allow them to invite others and add a video conferencing link. This means we're integrated with Microsoft and Google at the moment. So either it'll be Microsoft Teams or it'll be a Google Meet that's included as a video conferencing link. So I'll just put this in. When I confirm this booking, it will go directly into my calendar. And anybody that I've invited will also receive an email letting them know they've been invited, and it will go into their calendar as well. And then when I open up my mail and look at this, this is basically how it will look in my calendar then. I'll be able to see this here. You can also do it as a two-way sync. So if you're signing up for Skedda and you currently use resources in Microsoft or Google, and you have a bunch of meeting rooms, you can continue to book them through Microsoft. So in this example, I'll do another test here. and I'll add the same space. So the room has been connected through to Skedda. And let me just change the time, actually. I'll do it for tomorrow. So once you connect this, it's going to show up in both areas depending on where you book it. So there's no way to have double bookings. Again, I could add users again. So when I come back into Skedda and I go into the list view, it will update, and I'll see that for tomorrow, once this syncs, it will appear here. So if you're currently using resources in Microsoft or Google and you sign up to Skedda, it will be possible to sync both, or you can do it directly from Skedda itself. So it'll block it out in both places. So this has come in here now. So this is the booking I just made in Microsoft, and it appears in Skedda within a matter of seconds. Okay. Other spaces that so with meeting rooms, that's the major difference. It's how flexible you want to make it. Usually in 15 or 30-minute increments, not full day bookings, and you also want to have it sync with your calendar. It's also possible to set up the sync rule for your desks. If you currently use desks as resources, what it will allow you to do is sync it, and instead of it appearing as busy in your calendar, you can have it appear as free. So if somebody looks at your calendar, either in Microsoft or Google, it would also say there what desk you're sitting at. So then people would have two ways to look and see what desk you're sitting at. Another resource that you can book, another space, is car parks. So if I jump down to car parks, there's kind of two schools of thought around the best practices for booking car park spaces. Either you have a very clearly defined car park location that looks like this. So you have an actual geographical location. Certain cars are located in certain areas. And if I was to book space 27, like if I came in here and I had it as a full day booking, I absolutely have to park there. You can also put information in here to ask people to put, for example, their car registration plate into the organization field. So I can confirm this. And what I mean by this is if I come down here to my profile, in the organization field, I can put in here the car registration details. So you can cross-reference whose car is actually in the car park. Yeah, so I showed earlier that these I can't see. So this is, again, organized by tags. There is also, I want to demonstrate the quota rule for next week. So this is often something that's used for car park spaces as well. Typically, these tend to be highly sought after. You either have a very clear defined location for where they are. If you park in 27, you have to turn up there. Or you may be in a high-rise multi-story car park where it actually doesn't matter where you park. We can use a map like this instead. But if I was to come in next week, I can see that I have a car park space booked on Wednesday, I have one on Tuesday, and I have one on Monday. If I attempt to now go in and book for the Thursday as well, a car park space, I'm going to receive an error message, not allowing me to do so because I have exceeded my quota for the week. So this is usually a best practice for car park spaces. These tend to be the most highly sought after spaces. You can also do it for desks, as I showed, for particular areas. So like maybe you don't want the marketing team to be able to book more than twice here a week, or the sales team. But for car park spaces generally, if you want to restrict how much people can book there, you'll use a quota rule. And again, where you can find this is if you come down to your quota rule. Here we can say, for example, again, we can make it as specific as we want. We can decide if it's people with specific tags or not, and we can also decide on the spaces that they can or cannot book. And we can say they can only book 3 times a week. So if they attempt to book more than 3 times a week, they'll get an error preventing them from booking. Okay, I mentioned check-in earlier, and I showed how you can check in. I want to talk about this rule and how, as an admin, you can set this up. In terms of best practice, every rule that you set up, you have to have an underlying why. A check-in is a very important one. It's important to have it defined reason why you want to set up check-in and how you want that to look, because we can set it up in multiple ways. We can set it up so that absolutely everybody on the system is required to check in when they make a booking. We can also define what spaces they need to check in. Typically, you want to do it for desks, not meeting rooms, because meeting rooms are much shorter and people are less likely to check into those. However, if they're longer meetings, if you have meetings that exceed 3 hours or so, then it's probably a good idea to have a check-in rule. But people are going to receive check-in emails and notifications when you set up Skedda and when people start making bookings. That's fine. That's expected. Just know that you're going to get that. And so long as you have a strong reason why you want to use check-in, we can release this with the information when you're launching Skedda. You can link check-in with another feature that we have, which is called occupancy tracking. So what happens is you put your IP address in, and when users make a booking and come into your office and connect to your Wi-Fi and engage with Skedda, they are going to get anyone who does that, you'll see it will mark it as a green tick. So if I look today, for example, I can see that these users were seen on site. Now, some users may have checked in before they came to Skedda and never engaged. So Ross here could indeed be in the office, but this is a way to cross-reference and actually get an accurate idea of who's in the office today at a glance. So just by going to your list view, you can see that, and that's based off people attaching to your Wi-Fi in your office. Now, as time goes on, we intend to make this an autonomous process long-term, where people won't even need to actually engage with Skedda simply by having their phone on them and coming in with the app on their phone into the office. It'll mark it green. But for now, they need to engage with it in the office. But this combined with check-in gives you a very accurate idea of who's actually in the office. And then you can also go to the activity feed and you can look and see who has actually checked in the past, like today, for example. So I could see, all right, if you're not removing bookings when people check in, you can actually see who has checked in and who hasn't. And that in combination with the occupancy tracking will give you a very good idea of who's actually in the office and who isn't. The final thing I want to touch on, I see questions coming in. I haven't got a chance to glance at it yet. The final thing I want to check in, our first like products picks last month was about a lot around user tags, around filtering. We have had an update. I just wanted to mention right here at the end, where now you can actually decide on specific days granularly within your insight setting here. So if you actually want to dig down into what days and specific tags, you can actually do this. Even specific times here, you can apply them, which wasn't available when we last spoke. And I'm sure by the time we do the next one of these, there's going to be more updates to let you know about. But I did want to finish on that, and I will look now at questions. If anybody has popped in questions, we can go through those. Okay, should I just start at the bottom here? 8 rooms. So for assigned spaces, if the user isn't in the office on a specific day, somebody else can book that desk. No, you would handle that in a slightly different way, Donella. If it's a case that you're going to have people who are, let's say, they're in the office 3 days a week, instead of giving them an assigned space, you would just either they or you would make a recurring booking, which you can go in to make a booking here, and you would make a repeat booking. And let's say we'd make it as a weekly booking because they're in on the days Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and that's going to end after a long period of time. They're essentially assigned that desk, but only on those specific days. Currently, that's the way you would go about doing this, and we'd select the user and confirm this booking. Assigned spaces is when someone is in there Monday to Friday all the time.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Patrick. Sorry, I had some technical difficulties bringing me back up. I will help you with the Q&A.
No worries.
You're like, oh my God. Okay. All right. So let's start easy here. How can Skedda easily make annual holidays unavailable across all locations?
Yep, great idea, or great question rather. So let me just take the simplest one. I'll go to like Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I would just come in and make a booking and I'm going to make a booking for all of the spaces in here. I'm going to come down and select all, and then I'll make it unavailable for the entire day. And then I'll select the days it should be unavailable, right? So these 2 days, we know it's going to be unavailable for both the 24th and the 25th, and it ends after 2 occurrences. So we can see both the 24th and 25th are going to be unavailable to book. Let me see. Yes, it's because I've got this, so I'll just do it for internal use. It's okay. So for example, here, so that's how you would do it. You just go into the actual space on the day you want and either make it unavailable or for internal use, and we can put in here like Christmas, for example. So that's the way we would handle it.
Awesome. Same person. Thanks, Monica, for the great questions. We have a program team that uses an entire location for 4 months out of the year, available to no one else. Can Skedda block off a band of dates at a location like 4 months so I don't have to make the spots available again manually?
Apology, can you repeat that, Jenny?
Yep. Can Skedda block off a band of dates at a location like for 4 months,
Yes.
so I don't have to make the spots available again manually?
Yes, that you do that exactly the same way. So, for example, if it was I wanted to make like desks 63 to like 71 unavailable for a period of time, I would just come in and block these, and then I could say I want this to repeat every day, and then I could actually select, specifically the date which that should end. So basically, what I would be doing here is from the 24th of December until the 18th of March, those spaces are unavailable. But if people are looking, they can book right up to the 24th, and they can book from the 19th onwards as well. So that's the way you do. You just go in and make a booking, so to speak. You just mark it unavailable, and you select all of the desks that you want to be included in that.
We have a lot of votes for this one, and I believe, Patrick, maybe it's on the product roadmap, I think. So looking for an approval workflow to have admin approve or deny a booking request, is that coming?
Yes, it is coming. With any feature being built out, I'm not going to do my product and engineering team a disservice by giving any timeline.
Good call.
But it is coming. It's a very popular feature. We know people want it. So it is definitely coming.
Awesome. Annie has a few questions about her therapeutic rooms. My client has challenged me to find a solution that can manage a mental health campus that has dual purpose. There are therapeutic rooms where therapists book and invite their clients, and there are also corporate spaces for staff meetings and hires. So managing confidentiality and complexity is a key concern. I'd be interested to know if you'd had a similar problem to solve with other clients.
Yes, definitely. That's a great question. So you have a setting in your venue, which is called access and visibility. And what you can do here is, first of all, what you can do is if they're very different spaces entirely. So let's imagine Vancouver room here and Dublin room are therapeutic rooms where you don't want the names or any of the information related to those bookings visible to other people. You can simply make it like invisible to other users. So as I showed with Galway, for example, a user would come in. It's this user here. Excuse me. They wouldn't even see the therapeutic rooms. If, however, the same space is used for multiple purposes, you could come in and you could go to your access and visibility settings, and here you can decide what people can see. Basically, to simplify it here, by tagging certain users, when somebody looks at the list view, when they look at a booking, it won't show any of this information. It will actually just say details hidden. So yes, you can keep it completely confidential from other users.
Awesome. And can you integrate with financial systems for invoicing?
Not directly, but we can use things like Zapier, and we use Stripe directly. So if people are paying through Skedda, you can use Stripe. But we can also use other ways to like put it into Xero, things like this, if that's what you're looking to do.
Awesome. I feel like I should answer this one. Will this presentation be sent to us? Many people had this question. Yes, we will email you a link after the webinar. So just in case you want to replay sections that we may have gone through too quickly, you will definitely have this at your fingertips. Let's see. What else do we have here? Could you please again show the sync event for boardrooms and teams? I think that's worth it.
Can I go through the sync again? Was that the question?
Yeah.
Yes, totally. And teams, yes. So let me go through the sync first. So if you're in Skedda, let me just pop back in as my end user. If you're in Skedda as a user and you determine the space that you want to book, let me just go to Friday. So I want to book this meeting room. I can click to book. I can see there's a booking in here at that time, but it's free to book at 12. I just determine the time that I want to book. And then in here in attendees, I can search. So this is the directory of the company. So basically the users who are in the directory, I can search here. I can add people in directly. And then I can also add a video conferencing link. And then I simply need to confirm this booking. And it's going to instantly and automatically sync with my calendar and also send those two users an invitation and go into their calendar for them to accept. And then the exact same process happens in Microsoft, for example. So if I come in here and I know the room that I want to select, so again, I'll use Vienna for this example. And then I can obviously invite people in here as well. And then I can just send this. And this is then going to sync with Skedda. And we know it's available because as I pop this open, and if you search for the room itself in Microsoft, it's going to search Skedda and it says it's available. So then when I pop back into Skedda and I refresh this after a few seconds, that booking is also going to come across here. And so it'll block it off in both Skedda and Microsoft as well. So that's
awesome.
And then Teams. So you need to use single sign-on in order for it to work with Teams. So once your users have logged into Skedda for the very first time on a browser, they'll then be able to use Skedda in Teams. And it works in exactly the same way. You have the maps here. You can jump down between them. You also have this chat function, which is very useful. So all of the check-in notifications will come in here. But you can also do other things. Like if you come up to the chat here and you go to your channels, you can set up whatever channels you've set up. You can put Skedda in here and you can query Skedda. You can actually ask, hey, who's in the next few days? And it's going to immediately run a report for me. And then at the bottom, so here, this just ran it right now. It tells me in the next few days, everybody who's in, and it's only the people who are in this channel. So you can set up a sales channel, HR team, whatever's actually useful to you, and it will tell you. So if I was looking to have a meeting with Carmine here, for example, I'd go, okay, great, he's in on Friday. I'll just jump into Skedda now, just by clicking here, and then I can make a booking and be in the same day as Carmine. And the fact that we have profile pictures as well, I actually know that's him, so I can book the desk beside him if I want.
Awesome. For single sign-on, do you have to manually add them to the system?
You don't have to manually add them, but you would need to send users a link. So just by sending them, in this case, the URL is bestpractices.skedda.com. When they click on that, they'll be brought to a page that asks them to log in. Let's see if I don't think I have one pulled up actually to show, but you don't need to manually add them. No, they just need to go to the page and log in once. It'll ask them to do two-factor authentication, obviously, but then they're in the system. So you could send out an email to your entire team saying, hey, we have a new booking system. Please click on this link. By clicking on that, they'll register, and then they'll have access to Skedda.
Thank you, Patrick. I think we have time for one more. So this one is about assigned spaces, which we just rolled out, and we're still creating more functionality for it. It says we have some users who are in the office 5 days a week, so very interested in assigned desk feature, but we would like to make their desks available on the occasions when they don't come in, for instance, when they're on vacation.
Yes, that's possible. You can unassign someone very quickly as well. So, for example, and desk one here is Keenan, but I could I could remove this from being an assigned space to make it a bookable space, and now it's available for everybody to book. So that's the easiest way to do that. Then when Keenan comes back, I can quickly and easily I just need to type this in again and reassign it to Keenan. So we definitely do see people doing that. So that's the way you would manage that, basically.
And then a last one here, can this be integrated with EV charging stations?
Electric vehicle charging, it would depend how they want them to be integrated, I guess is the question.
You can designate sections for EVs, right?
Yes. So for example, we have on this map, no, sorry, it's the other car park. So here, for example, here are the EV, and then there are ways to integrate with third-party software. So if you have for example, someone books and you want this to turn on for charging or something like this, we need to discuss a bit more in depth what you'd like that to look like. But we definitely can do some integration.
Awesome. There is a lot of chat in here. It is hard to keep up. If we did not get to your question, we promise we will follow up with you. Thank you so much again for joining us today. We had a record number of folks on the webinar today. Quick reminders, if you click into the resources section, you can find our State of Modern Workplace report. We'll also follow up with you as well. And then we also have a link to our Skedda Academy, which goes deeper into the rules and roles that we just discussed here. If you needed just a quick summary of what we discussed, we will be emailing you the full link as well. Thank you again for your participation and for joining us. And huge thank you to Patrick for getting through desks, meeting rooms, parking spots, checking in, Wi-Fi tracking, all in about 30 minutes. Thank you, Patrick. We really appreciate you.
Cheers, folks. Thanks so much.